They set up the poor mechanic on a blind date as a prank, but the CEO's daughter said, "I like him." Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get into today's story. Have you ever felt like you were in the wrong place at the wrong time? Like everything was set up to make you fail? That's exactly how Sam felt when he showed up for a blind date he never wanted. Sam was a mechanic. He had spent his entire life working with his hands, fixing cars, and doing everything he could to make ends meet. He didn't come from money, and he didn't have a fancy education or an impressive job title. But he was proud of the work he did. Every day, he worked long hours in a small, cluttered garage, sweating over engines and getting his hands dirty. He wasn't looking for anything extra in life, just a way to survive. That's why when his friends set him up on a blind date, he was hesitant. They told him it was going to be fun, a joke, even. They knew he wasn't the type to get out much, so why not have a little fun at his expense? They said the woman he was meeting would be just like all the others he had been set up with, pretty, but superficial. They even joked that it was just a prank, something to laugh about later. They had arranged the whole thing at a high-end restaurant, a place where Sam felt completely out of place. The last time he had stepped foot in a place like that was when he had to fix a car for a wealthy customer. He wasn't used to the expensive menus, the fine china, or the extravagant decor. But his friends assured him it was just a casual dinner. Sam wasn't sure what he expected, but he was not prepared for what happened when he walked through the door. As he scanned the restaurant, his eyes landed on a woman sitting at a table, a beautiful woman who looked completely out of place in his world. She was dressed in an elegant gown, her hair perfectly styled, and her eyes were bright, scanning the room. He felt his heart race as he walked over to her. He had never been good at these kinds of things. Blind dates were always awkward for him. He wasn't sure how to talk to someone like her. But as he approached, she looked up, and for a moment, their eyes met. There was a spark there, something unspoken. She smiled, and he felt his nerves settle a little. "Hi, you must be Sam," she said. "I'm Lily." Sam sat down awkwardly, trying to ignore the nervous flutter in his stomach. He had no idea what he was doing here. This was supposed to be a joke, wasn't it? But there was something different about her. She didn't seem like the typical rich girl he expected. She didn't look at him like he was beneath her. Instead, she treated him with respect, with kindness. The conversation started off slow, but soon they were talking about everything: his work, her family, what they wanted out of life. Sam found himself opening up in a way he hadn't with anyone before. They laughed, shared stories, and for the first time in a long time, he felt comfortable. But as the night went on, something began to feel strange. Sam couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He glanced at the menu, trying to figure out how to order without looking too out of place. Just as he was about to ask her what she was getting, Lily's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her face changing in an instant. She excused herself from the table, leaving Sam sitting there, confused. A few moments later, she returned, her smile forced. "I'm sorry," she said, "but I have to leave. Something came up with my father's company." Sam nodded, trying to hide his disappointment. He had enjoyed the conversation, and now it was over. As she stood to leave, she looked at him one last time. "I'll be in touch," she said, giving him a smile that made his heart skip a beat. Sam watched her walk away, feeling a mix of confusion and longing. He couldn't help but wonder, was this all just part of the joke? Was she really interested in him, or was this all just some kind of game? Little did he know, Lily wasn't the person he thought she was. The night was far from over, and the truth was about to come out in a way that would change both their lives forever. I sat there, the faint hum of the restaurant still lingering in the air as I tried to process everything that had just happened. The woman I thought was just a part of a prank was gone, and I was left alone with my thoughts, feeling a mix of confusion and disappointment. I didn't know what to think about Lily. She was kind, but there was a distance in her eyes, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I had enjoyed the conversation, and that smile. There was something about it that made me feel like I was worth something, like I wasn't just the poor mechanic I had always thought I was. I stood up, my chair scraping the floor as I made my way to the door. As I stepped outside into the cool night air, I couldn't help but wonder if I had been wrong about her. Was she really just another rich girl playing with me? Or was there something more? The next morning, I couldn't shake the memory of the night before. I had gone back to my usual routine, fixing cars and dealing with customers, but my mind kept drifting back to Lily. What was she really like? I couldn't stop thinking about the way she looked at me, like she saw me as more than just a mechanic. But there was also that moment when she excused herself so quickly. It didn't sit right with me. I decided to forget about it and move on, but something kept tugging at my mind. I needed answers. So, I decided to go back to the restaurant where we had met. Maybe I could find out what had really happened and why she had left so abruptly. I walked through the doors, and as I stepped into the familiar space, the hostess greeted me with a friendly smile. "Hey there, welcome back. How was your dinner last night?" she asked, looking genuinely curious. I forced a smile, but my mind was racing. Actually, I was wondering if I could speak to the manager. There's something I need to ask about the woman I was here with last night. The hostess gave me a puzzled look, then nodded. "Of course, I'll let him know you're here." Moments later, a man in his late 40s came over. He had a professional air about him, his suit crisp and well-fitted. "How can I help you?" he asked, his voice calm and polite. "I was here last night," I started, "and I had dinner with a woman, Lily. She left suddenly, and I was wondering if she had mentioned anything." The manager seemed to hesitate for a moment before nodding. "Lily? Yes, she's one of our regular guests. She comes in from time to time with her father. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I can't share much more. She's a private person, you understand." My heart sank. It felt like I was hitting a wall, but something in the manager's tone made me feel like there was more to the story. "Is she a regular?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The manager nodded. "Yes, but like I said, she's very private. She doesn't usually share much about her personal life. If she didn't explain herself last night, I'm afraid I can't either." I thanked him and left the restaurant, my head swirling with even more questions than before. Who was Lily really? What was her connection to the restaurant? And why did she seem so different from the people in her world? The next few days went by, and I found myself constantly thinking about Lily. I couldn't understand why I couldn't just let it go. Maybe it was because, for the first time in a long time, someone had made me feel like I was more than just a mechanic. I didn't expect to hear from her again, but a part of me hoped I would. That hope was answered sooner than I thought. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello," I said, my voice a little shaky. "Sam." The voice on the other end was unmistakable. It was Lily. "It's Lily," she said. "I know this may sound strange, but I'd like to meet with you again. There's something I need to explain." I felt my heart race, a mix of excitement and nerves flooding my chest. This was it. The chance I had been waiting for. "Of course," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "When and where?" "I'll send you the details," she said before hanging up. I stared at my phone, my mind racing. What was she going to say? And what did this mean for the future? I couldn't help but feel that this was the beginning of something much bigger than I could have imagined. It had been 2 days since Lily's call, and the anticipation in me grew with each passing hour. I was standing in front of a small cafe when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Lily, giving me the details of where to meet. The message was brief, just a location and a time, 2 p.m., at a park near the water. I had no idea what she wanted to explain, but a part of me couldn't help but feel both anxious and excited. As I walked to the park, I tried to shake the nerves. What if she had just been toying with me? What if it was all just some big joke, like the setup had been from the start? I couldn't deny the pull I felt toward her, though. There was something different about Lily. I had been around enough wealthy people to know that they often saw others through the lens of what they could offer. But Lily didn't seem like that. She had looked at me as though I was worth something, like I wasn't just the mechanic fixing broken cars. The park was peaceful when I arrived, the sound of water gently lapping against the shore. I sat on a bench, waiting, my eyes scanning the path as I tried to steady my breathing. My thoughts kept drifting to her. What would she say? What was she going to explain? A few minutes later, I saw her walking toward me. She looked different in the daylight, more relaxed, but there was a certain tension in her step that wasn't there when we first met. She was wearing jeans and a casual shirt, a stark contrast to the elegant gown she had worn the other night. "Sam," she said softly as she approached. "I'm glad you came." I stood up, offering her a small smile. "I'm glad you called." We sat down on the bench together, the space between us not as awkward as I expected. Lily took a deep breath before speaking. I owe you an apology, she began. The way I acted the other night wasn't right. I shouldn't have just left like that. But there's more to the story. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. At least she was being honest, not leaving me hanging. I nodded for her to continue. The truth is, I never expected you to be, well, you, she said, her voice quiet. I mean, I didn't think I'd meet someone like you at that dinner. I was set up on a blind date as a joke, and it was supposed to be just that, a joke. But you made it different. You weren't like the others. You didn't treat me like a rich girl with a fancy title. You just treated me like a person. Her words hit me harder than I expected. I had felt the same way. Something about her made me feel like I was more than what I seemed. I didn't mean to mislead you, she continued. I didn't tell you who I really am. I should have been upfront, but I was scared. Scared of what? I asked, genuinely curious. She hesitated before answering. Scared of you seeing me as just another privileged person, scared that you'd think I was just playing some game with you. Her honesty was disarming, and for the first time since we met, I felt like I could let my guard down. Lily, I don't know what to say, I admitted. I didn't expect any of this, but I've been thinking about you since that night, and I don't want to just walk away from this without understanding more about who you really are. She smiled, her eyes softening. That's all I wanted. To just be understood. I know I've made things complicated, but I really want to get to know you, Sam. Not as some joke or a setup. Just us, no pretenses. Her words were exactly what I needed to hear. For the first time, I felt like maybe there was something real here, something worth pursuing. As we sat there by the water, the quiet between us was comfortable, the beginning of something neither of us could have predicted. It felt like the first step towards something new, something worth taking a chance on. The days that followed were filled with a new kind of uncertainty. I found myself thinking about Lily constantly, replaying our conversation in the park over and over in my mind. It was clear she had some kind of connection to a world I didn't belong to, one of wealth, privilege, and status. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that none of that mattered to me. What mattered was how she made me feel, like I was someone worth knowing. She had taken the time to talk to me, to see me for who I really was. That was more than I had ever experienced before. It wasn't just a brief encounter. It felt real, genuine. I didn't know where this would go, but I knew one thing. I wanted to find out. We met again a few days later, this time at a small cafe where the atmosphere was more laid back, more like the kind of place I felt comfortable in. As soon as I saw Lily walk in, my heart skipped a beat. She wasn't dressed in anything extravagant, just a simple blouse and jeans, but she looked radiant. She waved at me as she made her way to the table, her eyes bright with a warmth that made my nerves settle. We sat down, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. It was the kind of silence that wasn't awkward, just peaceful. Finally, she broke the silence, her voice soft. I know I've already said this, but I really am sorry for how everything started, she said, looking directly at me. I never meant to play a game with you, Sam. I know I made things complicated, and I don't want that to come between us. I shook my head, trying to reassure her. It's okay. I get it. I was confused too, but I want to understand who you really are. I don't care about the money or the status, Lily. I care about you. She smiled at me, a look of relief crossing her face. Thank you. That means more to me than you know. We spent the next couple of hours talking about everything. We talked about our dreams, our fears, the things that made us laugh, and the things that kept us up at night. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could be myself without any pretensions. There was no act, no expectations. Just two people getting to know each other. After that meeting, we started seeing each other more often. We took walks in the park, grabbed coffee at the cafe, and spent time doing simple things that allowed us to talk and truly connect. It was clear that Lily wasn't just some rich girl looking for a fling. She had depth, sincerity, and a genuine desire to build something meaningful. But as we grew closer, I couldn't help but wonder what this was all leading to. Was I just a momentary distraction for her, a break from her world of business and luxury? Or was this something real, something we could build together? I didn't want to assume anything, but every time I looked at her, I couldn't help but feel like she was someone worth fighting for. One evening, Lily invited me to an event she had to attend with her father. It was a charity gala, something I had never been a part of. I was nervous as I got dressed that night, unsure of what to expect or how I would fit into her world. When I arrived at the venue, The glamour and elegance of it all hit me like a wave. It was everything I wasn't: opulent, luxurious, and full of people whose lives seemed so different from mine. But Lily was there, waiting for me at the entrance, looking absolutely stunning in a beautiful evening gown. As soon as she saw me, she smiled and walked toward me, making me feel like I wasn't out of place, even in this sea of wealth and power. "You look amazing," she said softly, her eyes lighting up when she saw me. I smiled nervously. "I feel a bit out of place." "You don't have to feel that way," she reassured me, taking my hand. "You belong here with me." As we entered the gala together, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to change. I was no longer just the mechanic who was the butt of a joke. I was a part of something bigger now, something real. And with Lily by my side, I felt like I could face anything that came my way. I stood in the middle of the gala, my heart racing as I looked around at the glittering crowd. The atmosphere was everything I wasn't used to: luxury, power, and wealth surrounded me. But it didn't feel as intimidating as I thought it would. Lily was by my side, her presence calming, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I belonged somewhere. The night was filled with the hum of conversation, soft music playing in the background, and the clinking of glasses as people mingled and exchanged pleasantries. I had never imagined I'd find myself in a place like this. But here I was, walking beside Lily, who looked absolutely stunning in her gown. She led me through the crowd, introducing me to her friends and colleagues. Some looked at me with curiosity, others with polite interest, but Lily made sure to keep me close, her smile never wavering. It was clear she wasn't ashamed of me, and that comforted me more than I expected. As the night went on, I couldn't help but notice how different this world was from mine. It was glamorous, yes, but it was also full of expectations. People were constantly watching, judging, and trying to make connections. But Lily seemed completely at ease, as if she belonged here, and I couldn't help but admire that confidence in her. I tried my best to fit in, but I knew I didn't have the same polished demeanor as the others. I didn't know how to talk about stocks or the latest business deals. But whenever I got nervous, Lily would glance at me with a reassuring smile or squeeze my hand, grounding me in the moment. There was something about her that made me feel like I was enough, like I didn't need to change who I was to fit in. And that realization, realizing that I could just be myself around her, was more valuable than anything I could have gained from this world of luxury. As the evening wore on, I found myself in a quiet corner with Lily, away from the crowd. We talked about everything, but mostly, we talked about us. "You're doing great," Lily said softly, her eyes filled with warmth. "I know this isn't your world, but you're holding your own. I'm proud of you." I smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude. "I'm just trying to keep up," I replied. "But honestly, I'm glad to be here with you. I didn't think I'd ever be a part of something like this." Lily's gaze softened, and she reached out to touch my arm. "You belong here, Sam. With me." Her words meant more than I could explain. It wasn't just about being in the gala or the fancy places. It was about feeling like I mattered to her. In that moment, I realized that I was falling for her. Not because of her wealth, not because of her status, but because of who she was: genuine, kind, and real. As the night came to a close, Lily and I stepped out into the cool night air. The city lights sparkled in the distance, and for the first time, I felt hopeful about what the future might hold. I didn't know where this was going, but I knew one thing: I wanted to be by her side. Together, we could figure out what the next chapter looked like. Lily turned to me, her eyes searching mine. "What do you think?" she asked, her voice soft. "About us, about everything?" I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. "I think I'm ready for whatever comes next," I said, my voice steady. "As long as I'm with you." She smiled, a beautiful, genuine smile that made my heart skip a beat. "Then let's take this one step at a time." And with that, I knew that whatever challenges we faced, we'd face them together. This wasn't just a moment in time. It was the beginning of something real, something worth fighting for. The days after the gala felt different, like something had shifted between Lily and me. I wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was walking alongside someone who truly understood me. We kept seeing each other, getting to know each other more deeply. I spent my days working at the garage, and in the evenings, I'd meet Lily. We'd take walks around the city, grab a bite to eat at little diners, or just sit and talk about everything and nothing. Slowly, I started to let my guard down more and more. Lily's world was full of opportunity and connections, while mine was full of grease stains and broken engines. But when I was with her, none of that mattered. What mattered was the way we connected, the way she made me feel like I was more than just my job. But it wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, moments when I felt like I didn't belong in her world. I saw the way people looked at me when we went out, like I was out of place, like I was different. And sometimes, I couldn't help but feel like maybe Lily deserved someone who could offer her more. One evening, as we sat in a quiet park, I looked at her and realized just how much I had come to care for her. I reached for her hand, my heart pounding. "Lily," I began, my voice uncertain. "I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't know if I can keep doing this, being with you. I don't want to hold you back. You deserve someone who fits better into your world." She looked at me, her expression soft but serious. "Sam, don't you get it?" she said, squeezing my hand. "It's not about what you can give me, or what you think you can offer. It's about us, about who we are together. You make me feel like I'm truly seen. That's what I want." I was taken aback by her words. I hadn't expected her to say that. "But you're from a different world. Your family, your friends, they all have expectations. What if they don't understand?" Lily took a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine. "I don't care what they think. All I care about is what we have. We can figure out the rest together." Her words hit me hard, and in that moment, I realized just how much I was willing to fight for this. Fight for her. For us. "I don't want to let go of this," I said, my voice full of conviction. "I want to make this work. I want to be with you." She smiled, and it was like a weight had been lifted from my chest. "Then let's do it," she said. "Let's take this one day at a time. Together." Over the next few weeks, things started to fall into place. We faced some challenges, of course. There were times when our different worlds felt like an obstacle. But with Lily by my side, I began to see that love wasn't about fitting perfectly into each other's lives. It was about accepting each other, flaws and all. I kept working at the garage, fixing cars and making a living, but now there was something more. There was hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I could build a life that was different from the one I'd always known. A life with Lily. We didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was walking towards something that mattered. And no matter what came next, I knew I wasn't facing it alone. Things had been going smoothly for the past few weeks. Lily and I had been spending more time together, and each day, I felt more certain that I was making the right choice by being with her. But even though I felt good about us, there was still that lingering doubt in the back of my mind. I knew that eventually, the reality of our differences would catch up with us. Lily came from a world that was so different from mine. Wealth, status, the pressure to always be perfect. It wasn't a world I was used to, and sometimes I couldn't help but wonder if I really belonged in it. One evening, Lily invited me to a family dinner at her father's house. Her father was a successful businessman, someone who had built an empire from the ground up. I had heard a lot about him, but I had never met him in person. I was nervous as I got ready for the dinner. What if I wasn't good enough? What if her family judged me? What if they didn't accept me because I wasn't like them? When I arrived at her father's house, I was immediately struck by its size. It was a mansion, a beautiful home that exuded wealth and power. It was the kind of place I had only seen in movies, and now, here I was, walking through the front door. Lily greeted me at the door with a warm smile, and I tried to hide my nerves. "You look great," she said, squeezing my hand. "I'm really glad you're here." I forced a smile and nodded. "Thanks. I'm a little nervous, to be honest." She smiled again, her eyes filled with warmth. "Don't be. My family is easy to talk to. Just be yourself." We walked into the dining room, where her father and other family members were already sitting at the table. Her father, a man in his mid-50s with a commanding presence, stood up when we entered. He looked at me for a moment, sizing me up, before extending his hand. "Sam, it's good to meet you," he said. I shook his hand, trying to steady my nerves. "It's good to meet you too, sir." The dinner started off with polite conversation, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I spoke, I felt like I was being judged. It was hard to ignore the way some of the other guests looked at me, their eyes scanning me like I was some kind of curiosity. Lily seemed to notice my discomfort, and she kept giving me small reassurances throughout the evening. "You're doing great," she whispered to me once when her father was telling a story. But then, something unexpected happened. As the evening went on, I found myself actually connecting with her family. We talked about everything from travel to business to our favorite foods. I found myself laughing at the jokes and stories being told, and slowly, the tension in my chest began to ease. Her father, though reserved at first, started asking me more questions about my work, and I was surprised at how interested he seemed. For the first time, I felt like I was more than just a mechanic. I felt like I was being treated as an equal. At one point, Lily's father turned to me and said, "Sam, I've heard a lot about your work. I'm impressed by your dedication. I think there's a lot of potential in what you do." Those words meant more to me than I could say. It wasn't just a compliment. It was a sign that he saw me for who I was, not where I came from or how much money I had. After dinner, Lily and I took a walk around the garden, and I could feel the weight of the night lifting off my shoulders. "How did it go?" she asked, her eyes searching mine. "Honestly, I was nervous at first," I said, "but it went well. Your dad, he's a good guy." Lily smiled, her hand gently brushing mine. "I'm glad you feel that way. He just wants to see you happy, Sam. And he wants to see me happy too." I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. Maybe things weren't as complicated as I had made them out to be. Maybe I didn't need to worry so much about fitting into her world. As we walked hand in hand under the stars, I realized that I wasn't just falling in love with Lily. I was falling in love with the possibility of a future with her. A future where we could be together, no matter the differences in our backgrounds. I wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, I felt like I was ready to face it with her by my side. The weeks that followed felt like a whirlwind. Lily and I were more than just a couple now. We were building something together. But even as everything seemed to be falling into place, there was still one thing that weighed heavily on my mind: her family. I had spent time with them, and for the most part, it had gone well. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something I wasn't seeing, something I wasn't being told. I had spent my whole life as a mechanic, working with my hands and keeping my head down. The world Lily came from, wealth, influence, high expectations, was still something I didn't fully understand. One evening, as we sat in her apartment after dinner, I decided I couldn't keep these thoughts to myself any longer. I needed to ask her. "Lily, I've been thinking," I began, my voice hesitant, "about your family, about everything. Do you think they really accept me for who I am?" Lily looked at me, her eyes softening. She had been quiet for a moment, but I could tell she was thinking carefully about her response. "Sam, my family is complicated," she said finally. "They don't always understand my choices. They don't always understand me, either. But they care about me, and they care about you. It's not perfect, and it's not always easy, but we're figuring it out." I exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and confusion. "I want to be with you, Lily. But sometimes I feel like I'm not enough for this world of yours. I'm just a mechanic. Your world is full of people who have everything. I feel like I can't keep up." Lily reached out, gently taking my hand in hers. "Sam, I don't need you to keep up with anyone," she said softly. "I need you to be you. That's all I've ever wanted." Her words hit me harder than I expected. It was like she had taken the weight of all my doubts and eased them with a single sentence. But even as I felt a sense of calm wash over me, I couldn't help but wonder if I was really enough for her. There were moments when I still felt like an outsider. Lily's world was so different from mine, and I had to face that reality every time we went out, every time I met someone new from her life. A few days later, as we sat in a small cafe together, I saw something in her eyes that I hadn't seen before: concern. "Sam, there's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice quieter than usual. I looked at her, my heart racing. "What's wrong?" She took a deep breath, as if gathering the courage to say something important. "My father, he's been pushing me to focus more on the family business. He wants me to take on more responsibility, to get more involved with the company. And I know it's not just about business. It's about what he expects from me, what he wants for my future." I listened, trying to stay calm, but a part of me felt a pang of fear. "And what do you want?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lily smiled, though it was tinged with sadness. "I want to be with you, but I don't know how to make both worlds work. My family expects so much from me, and I'm not sure if I can keep doing what they want without losing what we have." The weight of her words hit me hard. I could see the struggle in her eyes, the pressure she was feeling from her family, from everything she was expected to be. "Lily, I don't want you to feel like you have to choose," I said, my heart aching for her. "But I want you to be happy. If that means working with your family, I'll support you. But I also want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. Lily squeezed my hand, her eyes shining with emotion. I don't know what the future holds, Sam, but I know I want you in it. Her words were like a promise, a vow that despite everything, we could make this work. In that moment, I realized that no matter the challenges ahead, we would face them together. And for the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we could make it work, no matter what. The days turned into weeks, and the weight of our decisions started to settle into a new rhythm. Lily and I had faced some tough conversations about her future, my place in her world, and what we both truly wanted. But through it all, one thing became clear: we were stronger together. Her father's expectations and her family's pressure didn't disappear, but we were learning how to navigate them, side by side. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when it felt like we were walking on a tightrope, balancing our personal lives with the demands of the world around us. But we always found a way back to each other. One evening, after another long day of navigating family dynamics, Lily and I sat on the porch of my small apartment, the evening sky painted with soft hues of orange and pink. The world around us felt still, and for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to fully appreciate how far we had come. Sam, Lily said, her voice soft, but carrying an unmistakable weight. I've been thinking a lot about everything. The business, the family, us. And I've realized something. I turned to her, my heart skipping a beat. What is it? She took a deep breath, looking at me with a mixture of determination and tenderness in her eyes. I've realized that I don't need to follow in anyone's footsteps. I don't need to be what my family expects me to be. What I want, what I need, is right here with you. I felt a rush of relief, but there was more to her words than I had expected. Lily, you don't have to sacrifice anything for me, I said, reaching out to take her hand. I know how much your family means to you, but I want you to choose what makes you happy, not what everyone else expects. She smiled, squeezing my hand tightly. That's the thing, Sam. You make me happy, and I've realized that's all that matters. I want to be with you. I want to build a life with you. No more pretending, no more compromises. I was speechless for a moment, overwhelmed by the depth of her words. But as the breeze rustled through the trees, I knew that everything had fallen into place. For the first time, it wasn't about what I could offer or what she could give up. It was about being true to ourselves and the love we had built. The road ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but I knew we could face anything as long as we had each other. A few weeks later, Lily made the decision to step away from the pressures of her family's business. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was the right one for her. And it was the right one for us. We started talking about the future in a way we hadn't before, planning the life we both wanted. It was a future where we could grow together, where we could build something that was uniquely ours. It wasn't about money or status or what anyone expected of us. It was about the life we were choosing to create, one step at a time. And so, as the months passed, we continued on this journey together, facing whatever came our way with the same love and determination that had brought us here. We didn't have all the answers, but we didn't need them. As long as we had each other, we knew we could make it work. And one evening, as the sun set behind us, Lily turned to me with a smile. I think this is just the beginning, Sam. And in that moment, I knew she was right. This was just the beginning of a life we would build together, a life full of love, honesty, and endless possibilities. In this captivating journey of love and self-discovery, we dive into a unique tale of love, challenges, and the complexities of two different worlds colliding. This story follows a mechanic from a humble background who unexpectedly becomes entangled in the extravagant life of a millionaire's daughter. As they navigate their relationship, they face the expectations of their families, societal pressures, and the choice to be true to themselves. Through this emotional roller coaster, they learn what really matters in life. Not wealth, but love, respect, and understanding. This story perfectly embodies the essence of millionaire stories, where true love and deep connections triumph over superficial differences. As the couple confronts their fears and dreams, they realize that love doesn't come with a price tag. As we witness their growing bond, we explore the beauty of genuine relationships, leaving behind the distractions of money and status. These millionaire stories showcase that at the end of the day, it's not about who has the most wealth, but who stands by your side through thick and thin. The characters in this story exemplify how two people from different walks of life can come together, build a future, and overcome all obstacles. Their journey is a powerful reminder of the strength of love and the importance of choosing happiness over everything else. If you love heartfelt millionaire stories that focus on true emotional connections, this tale will surely touch your heart and inspire you to believe in the power of love, no matter the circumstances.